welcome to Brown Desk Discussions. And we're going to talk today for just a few minutes about what it means to celebrate or not celebrate this day we call Mother's Day. Many people have different ways of looking at Mother's Day, and so we just wanted to talk about what Mother's Day has meant to us, either in the past, what it means right now, and how we can maybe, as the church, be more sensitive to the fact that people come to our churches every Sunday at Mother's Day, because it's always a Sunday, and sometimes they're not in that same place that others are. So there's some are grieving, some are just trying to make it through the day, some are ecstatic because it's their first Mother's Day, or they are happy about being a grandmother for the first time. There are all of these different feelings and emotions that happen during Mother's Day, and so we thought we'd stop and talk about that for just a few minutes and let you know that no matter what it is that you are dealing with on Mother's Day, we just want to give you a little invitation, and we'll give it to you just a little later. All right? So, of the four of us, how many of us still have our mother? So we have one whose mother is still alive. So what does it feel like for you to celebrate Mother's Day?
So for me, it's still a little weird because my mother's not here. She's over 400 miles away. It's not easy for me to get back home. So it's still a little strange, even in the years that I have been in Carter, where the men usually give the gifts, and it's, they want all women to stand, but that doesn't necessarily mean I'm a mother. So since becoming a godmother, it's been a little different. So I at least feel included, especially since I'm an aunt as well, but she's 400 miles away as well. So it's gotten a little better in the last few years since becoming a godmother.
I think that's really interesting. One of the things that I often find is that people for a long time didn't want to acknowledge anyone who wasn't a birth mother. Okay, if you didn't birth a child, you were therefore not a mother. And there are some children who would beg to differ with that, because they consider that woman as a mother figure. So, Brother Paul, you are obviously not a mother. We'll talk to you more about that next month. But you are a husband, a grandfather who has women who are in your family who are our mothers. So what does it mean for you to celebrate or remember your mom and mothers that have been a part of your life and the seasons of your life?
Well, during my life, I lost my mother probably about 20 years ago. And during that time, it was a big event. I mean, we had relatives came from far and wide, and it was a day where everybody wrapped up my mother. She couldn't do no wrong. Even though she acted like she didn't want it to happen, she even acted like, you don't have to be all about all of that, but she was eating it up. And I remember those times. In fact, she used to get up early and prepare the meal herself. She didn't want anybody messing with the food, because after all, it was her day, and she never knew to tell us rather who was coming by. So she had a control over the whole thing. Now, since then, we moved forward, and I have found myself to be in a family that has probably 80% of mothers, females anyway. Mm-hmm. And that tradition, even though it's no longer, my mother no longer able to claim that, it still goes on. You have the grandkids. In my case, I have the great grandkids, and they all show up. And whoever the female is at the time in the house, that person gets showered. She gets loved. She can do no wrong for that particular day.
I love it. That's nice. That's nice. absence of your mother, do you find that being painful at all on Mother's Day?
It used to be, but as time has moved on, and including the years we've had, I like to say substitutes have stepped in, and it's hard to forget, but at the same time I enjoy it because what my mother used to do, my nieces and sister-in-laws and whatever, they're still doing the same thing.
Oh, wow.
So it's kind of like a universal kind of thing, what happens on Mother's Day. Everybody has the same objective, is to appreciate Mother.
Wow, that's good. Sister Holly, you've been a mother now for some 21 years, right? But there was a time when you were not. And so how did Mother's Day used to feel, and how does Mother's Day feel now?
Well, I will say I do remember when I was like in my late 20s, early 30s, and I would go to, maybe visit a church or something, and the usher would say, here's a gift, happy Mother's Day, and I'd have to say, well, I'm not a mother. And I kind of went through this stage, like, where do I fit in? Where do I belong? And it wasn't like during a time when people were celebrating aunts and godmothers and sisters, just women and their maternal instincts. But I just kind of felt like, I don't really fit in. How is this day, for me? So I kind of struggled with that when it was, time to go to church on Mother's Day.
Well, but how is it different now?
So now I have been a mother for some time, and even though my mother passed away many years ago, I do, have that opportunity to celebrate as a mom and enjoy that. I do think that I'm cognizant of other women out there that may not be moms or their struggles.
That's good.
And so I think that has helped me with that. I've had friends that have gone through like miscarriages and things of that nature. So, working with them as well.
Yes, I think that's one of the things that we have to really think about. I know from a pastoral perspective, I'm very careful on Mother's Day what it is I say about the greatness of mothers. Just because mine was great, you got some people who have very abusive mothers, who were foster children because they were abandoned by their mother. You got those who, like you said, have experienced great grief, and motherhood does not necessarily speak to them about, about joy. It is a painful place. And so I think it's just important that on Mother's Day we recognize that people come just like they come any other week, different. That they have traumas, they have things that they are dealing with from the perspective of motherhood.
Pastor B, I have a question for you.
Yes.
So I can think of 3 off the top of my head mothers in our church that have lost children this year.
Yes.
So how do you propose to handle that this year?
One of the things that I think we have to do again with that sensitivity is to recognize that everyone is approaching this day differently, and that for everyone who is approaching it with joy and expectation, someone is approaching it with dread, remembering that this day represents a void that's in their lives, whether it's because their mother's not here, or whether it's as a mother because your child is not here. It's important, and it's not a shameless plug, but that I'm talking about the maternal mercy of God, because often we only see God from father perspective, but those characteristics of nurturing and caring are all a part of the character of God. And for those who are struggling, God still is our place where we can deal with those moments of angst, those things that we are struggling with because of either the loss of a mother or the loss of a child, or in my case, I've helped raise children, but I've never birthed. And so does that make me any less a mother to those who call me mom? No. And so we've got to really understand that when we come on Mother's Day, it's not about the flowers that we're pinning on people. It's not about the gifts that we will receive. And while we're grateful for all of those, our men's ministry does beautifully, by the way, with how they honor mothers. At the end of the day, Mother's Day is a reflection day. And as we reflect, we also remember that the characteristics of God allow us to deal with the nurturing and the caring and the person, the things that we expect from mothers in their best sense, we still can receive from the Almighty God, who knows all about us, knows our name, knows what we struggle with, knows our joy, knows our pain. So we invite you to share with us on Sunday as we approach this Mother's Day, as we recognize those who are with a part of us who are mothers and those who bring the most children, and with things that we always do, but then that we also take the time to be still and to thank God for the life of mothers who have gone on before us, and then for those mothers. And I thank you, Brittany, for the remembrance of that are no longer, whose children are no longer with them, and that this Sunday is going to be difficult for them. Mother's Day at Carter, we invite you to come and share with us, remembering that we already know that we're all coming different, but we serve a God who understands and knows all about us. Won't you join us? God bless you.